Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are currently sending this probe to Dress. Well, it's more of a communication satellite, but it's got some science functionality to it. So we are going to be sending this to Dress, and we are currently changing our inclination. That will happen here in 30 days or so. Excellent. And we are not going to be physics warping this initial burn, since we are still using our booster stage with the big ol' mainsail right now, and we've not dipped into our interplanetary transfer stage at all yet. So we're going to just go ahead and let this one happen right about now. There we go. Oh man, I want to physics warp it so bad. But it's such a bad idea to do. We're almost burned out in this stage, though. 3 more seconds. And off we go. Excellent. And now we can physics warp it. Truly, truly glorious. I love it. So this is probably the final probe that we're going to be sending up that's powered by solar arrays. Every other probe is likely to be powered by RTGs, just because we're going to be getting quite far away from the sun. And even these Gigantors aren't really going to be able to generate enough energy soon. We'll go ahead and create a node to home and transfer to the target. That does not create an encounter. Okay. Well, let's just go ahead and see if we can't finagle ourselves one here. Let's go ahead and pop into Dress here so that we can actually see to some degree. And then, whoa, that was interesting. And then let's just see about getting ourselves a wee bit closer together. There's an encounter. That is actually a wonderful polar orbit right there. Like, to the point where if we can just slightly adjust this, not that direction. Oop, that was too much. No, I think I lost it. Create the node again. Burn slightly prograde. Oh, that was too slightly prograde. Come here. There you are. Come back. There you are. Okay. And I've lost it again. Oop, there it was. It was there. Zeroing in. Okay. Very minute adjustments at this point. Come on. Where are you at? Okay, it should be here by now. I lost it again. Man. All I want is a particular orbit. That'll have to do, I think. We can always change it later. But yeah, that'll have to do. I mean, we could try to go for that equatorial orbit that I was talking about. Just raise it on up. That's a bit too up. Bring it back down. Is that too down? That's a little too down. Somewhere about there would be nice. Okay. And we can always adjust this periapsis later on. Let's execute that. That should be glorious. What do we got right now for electricity flow from this? I mean, see, we've currently got about 21 energy flow off of this Gigantor, 22 energy flow. And I mean, that's kind of close to maximum energy flow that we're going to get at this distance, but out at Joule, we're getting 20 times less. Well, not 20 times less, but 20 energy less. The best energy that we're getting out at Joule with the Gigantor is about 1 to 1.5. So after Dress, we definitely need to be moving over towards RTGs. That's all there is to it. Solar panels just aren't going to cut it out that far in the solar system. So we absolutely need to switch to RTGs after the Dress probes. And like I said, we're putting on 2 probes onto Dress. 1 equatorial, 1 polar. And apparently, it would appear, the polar ones might be easier to do than the equatorial ones, which is a little interesting. Okay, so as soon as we get this burn done, we're going to do a circularization burn over here. I'm going to do it manually because we want to make it as minimal as possible, and then we're going to raise this up to that same point. Because we want this to be obscured by Dress as little as possible. We definitely need this as a hop for our Joule probe. There's no way around that. And also, I should really be physics warping this burn, considering it's an 11-minute burn. Excellent. I mean, I suppose we could be throwing some monopropellant at it, too. There we go. Might as well burn off our monopropellant. No point in carrying it all the way up there, considering we've got reaction wheels in this thing. Right? We've got a reaction wheel in this thing. I'm like 95% certain. Yeah, we've got a reaction wheel in this thing. We've also got this reaction wheel here. So we really don't need the RCS. Might as well burn it off here, not carry it all the way there, bring up our thrust to weight a little bit. It's a very little bit. But also utilize it for the monopropellant thrust. And just get there that little bit faster. It's not much faster, that's for sure, but it's a little faster. I probably should have just removed the monopropellant for the Mark 6. That's something I will probably do. In fact, maybe we should make the second Dress probe be a Mark 6. We'll see what kind of energy flow we've got over here. Of course, on our way to Dress, there is going to be less and less energy flow as we go further away. You can see it's declining right now. It's currently at 24.5 because of our current facing. But I think 25 is the max energy flow from a Gigantor. From Kerbal. I think. So we're going to be getting less and less efficiency as we go further away. And Dress is a ways away. Of course, we do have a lot of delta V to get there, but we're starting to get into very time inefficient engines here. They're very fuel efficient, but they're time inefficient. So we want to consider ways to increase our thrust to weight, which would include things like ditching Gigantors. We're probably going to end up adding in a bay in some location here and moving our science and other modules into that bay, and then maybe tossing a couple of RTGs in there or something. I'm not sure exactly what all that will look like yet. We'll have to take a quick look once we get back to the VAB. But this burn has now finished up. Let's see what our periapsis here is looking like. Not bad. That is about correct. So let's go ahead and warp to here. And in the meantime, let's go ahead and set ourselves up a maneuver right here. Add a maneuver. We're going to be doing a retrograde burn. Quite substantial one. Not that substantial, considering that flipped our orbit. Okay, let's see here. Right about there. 31 million kilometers is pretty close. 32.6. Let's just drop it down to 32 million and call that good. Just so that we don't accidentally break anything. Excellent. And I'm going to go ahead and cancel this warp right now. And we are going to execute next node and let MechJeb do the warping. Excellent. So that did save us a little time because I set up the maneuver while we were on our way. But it'll still be a 318 day warp here. So once we get here, we're going to go ahead and do this braking burn, and then once we get to the apoapsis up here, which is going to be a while, 60-ish days, we'll be able to time warp very quickly. Once we get up to here, then we'll circularize to 32 million kilometers, and then we'll just change our inclination to be perfectly equatorial. It's going to be kind of close to perfectly equatorial, it looks like, but it'll not quite be there. It'll be a few degrees off. And I want it to be perfectly equatorial. So we'll go ahead and do that. But first, we need to get there, and we are about 160 days away from that happening. And of course, this is our current orbit. That is what you get when you do a Hohmann transfer. Periapsis is at the orbit we left. Apoapsis is at the orbit we're going to. And then we need to do a braking burn once we get there. Very standard stuff. Simple orbital dynamics. "20 more days until our burn. We will be entering dress momentarily. We are now in the dress system. Excellent. In space high. Okay, so we are going to continue this warp. We'll get all of our science here in a little bit, but for right now, we're going to get our burn done. We are... Where's the sun at? I think the sun is currently occluded by dress. Yeah, it is. That's a little unusual. We have a decent connection. Actually, that's a pretty solid connection. 69% right now. Yeah, that's not bad at all. So having this here will help a lot. We've also initiated the first flyby of dress. Can't really see it right now because we're on the dark side. But let's go ahead and do a temperature scan here. Yep, you can't measure the temperature of space still. We'll transmit that. Keep an eye on our electric charge here. Atmospheric pressure scan. We'll go ahead and transmit that as well. Excellent. We are going to do a mystery goo observation here because in space high is the best we're going to get. So go ahead and transmit that data. Yep. Go ahead and break it. And finally, a gravity scan. Transmit data. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and physics warp up while we finish our braking burn here. We're going to have a couple more burns to do on this insertion, but overall this is very basic and going extremely well. And as we get over different biomes, we'll do a gravity scan, but for right now, that's all we got. We also got a world first milestone here for gathering the first scientific data from Dress. Excellent. So we've got another 5 minutes left in this burn. Once we finish this burn, again, just to reiterate, we circularize at the apoapsis, set our inclination to be 0 degrees. Well, 180 degrees, I think. But something like that. I mean, we could flip our orbit, theoretically. That might not be the worst idea, actually. We can do it pretty cheaply when we're circularizing up here. Because we would then just be able to retrograde burn, and then continue burning retrograde until we circularize. That wouldn't be a terrible idea at all. In fact, I think it's a pretty good idea, since we're currently at an inclination of 175 degrees, which indicates that we are going inverse with the direction that the planet is rotating. Okay, we can grab ourselves this gravity scan and transmit that. Excellent. There'll be a few more gravity scans to grab, I'm sure. It's not hugely important that we gather science at this point, but, I mean, it makes us... It'll make us money eventually. It doesn't make us money right now, but it will eventually make us money. So, at this apoapsis up here, which is currently a little lower than what we targeted, but that's fine. We're going to burn retrograde, flip our directionality, and then circularize. Right at about 32 kilometers. Whoa, no. That's too much. That's close enough, I think. Yeah, you can see that we do have about a 5-degree inclination. But that's okay. So that'll only take 36.4 meters per second to invert our orbit from here. And then circularize. I love it. Let's do it. That'll happen in 72 days. 6-second burn. That's deeply unconcerning. We do want to allow warping to be stopped. So let's just go ahead and get this warp started. Perfect. Ridges, transmit. Okay. What else do we got? Lowlands, we're good. What else do we got? Ridges, we're good. What else do we got? Lowlands, again, we're good. What else do we got? Ridges, don't care. Lowlands, still don't care. Still ridges, still don't care. Highlands, do care about that. Transmit that. Midlands, do care about that. Transmit that. Lowlands, don't care. Midlands, don't care. Ridges, don't care. Midlands, nope, don't really care. Ridges, still don't care about ridges. One of these days it'll figure it out. Come on. Ridges is still fine. I like how we've gone one day. Okay, that took us a ways. As we get further and further away, of course, we will have fewer and fewer biomes. Well, we'll have the same number of biomes, but we'll be over each biome longer. Come on. Lowlands are fine. Well, that was a decent little chunk. You know, let's just go ahead and allow it to warp. We might miss a bit of science here, but we can always grab it later. Oh, I did not grab that. We did miss one. So yeah, there was one biome that we missed there. We'll come around and get it again. And a second one there, canyons. Okay. Well, that one we might get again very soon. Where is Dress right now? I don't actually see it. Well, we're not perfectly equatorial, so it might not be in this band. And we're quite a long ways away. There we go. Close enough. So now let's just simply do a change inclination, 0 degrees from our 4.5, create and execute. 2 meters per second. We are going to warp basically all the way around. So let's just see here. Let's allow it to stop. This might take a while. Ridges, that's fine. Midlands is fine. Ridges are still fine. Midlands are fine. More ridges. There are a lot of ridges, apparently. You know what? I think we probably just have enough. We can always come back and grab them if necessary. We know there's a couple biomes that we missed, but we don't know that we're going to be going over them after the inclination change. So I think I'll just keep an eye on this. Yeah, we haven't missed anything around here. There we go. Okay, so I think we'll just say we got enough. Not going to spend extra time. We have the science tree maxed out, so I really just don't care. This thing is quite a lot of overkill for dress, as evidenced by the fact that we still have 12,000 Delta V. Like, that's a lot of Delta V. At any rate, we are now in a nice equatorial, circularized-ish, equatorial-ish orbit around dress. Fantastic. Okay, so let's head on back to the Space Center, and let's do it again. This time in a polar orbit. Just because I feel like it. And it will truly be glorious. Wow. I don't know about glorious, but it's a polar orbit. That's exciting, right? Not really. Not really at all. I also would like to point out that the VAB still isn't fully upgraded. The launch pad is. Tracking station isn't. Which maybe we should upgrade it to get some more DSN power. That's probably a good idea. Let's upgrade the tracking station. Excellent. Everything else we don't really care about upgrading at this point. So let's hop into the VAB. Oh, that's right. I was going to check. Let's hop out of the VAB. Because I was going to check and see just how much power flow we were actually getting from those Gigantors out at Dress. To see if we wanted to switch to RTGs or not. So let's see here. Let's fly you once more. And let's just see exactly how much power flow we're getting under ideal-ish circumstances. So let's go ahead and rotate to be relatively facing the sun like so. We should have Killrot on. So right about like that-ish. 3. Okay, so the difference between here and here is about 20. The difference between here and here is about 2. But we are definitely getting some massive diminishing returns. So I think we should go ahead and make the Mark 6. Now we have enough power flow at Dress, barely, to make it work. But I think we should go ahead and design the Mark 6 and put a second one in orbit over Dress, a Mark 6 rather than a Mark 5. So let's go ahead and hop into the VAB. And let's open up the... Oh, right. Odd One Mark 5 rather than Odd One Mark 4 would be what we'd be doing. Okay. So let's go ahead and make this the Odd One Mark 5. And we'll save that. Now, I want to take a quick look here and see how much do RTGs generate. 0.8 per second. So an RTG costs 23,000 compared to a Gigantor, which costs 3,000. So maybe what we want to do is just add an RTG to the existing Gigantors, just so that we can guarantee some power flow at all times. We do want to ditch the mono propellant there, I think. Save a little bit of weight. And now, let's just go ahead and pull off right here. And let's add ourselves a service bay. And then stick that right back on. Do we need to redo our fairing? We should not need to redo our fairing, I think. Open up the service bay. And then this RTG here, stick it like dead center in the service bay. That's not dead center. Stick it like dead center in the service bay. Like so. And that should generate the power we need, and then we can put our computer flight unit in here. We can put all of our things in here, in fact. Our press map barometer. Our too hot thermometer. Our mystery goo containment unit. Our seismic accelerometer that we really don't need to include, but sometimes contracts want them. And we'll put our mech jeb up on the ceiling. We don't ever need to interact with our mech jeb, so that should be fine. And we've also got our negative gravioli detector. We'll stick that in here as well. Is that everything? I do believe that that is everything. Okay, so this is kind of the Odd One Mark V. I mean, the other thing we might want to consider doing is A, rotating these side boosters slightly so that they're a little bit more precisely positioned here, because I think they were off a little bit. And let's go ahead and move this guy down to about here-ish. That should be fine. Looks like that automagically connected up. Now, we could throw on quad-coupled boosters on the side, but that's just hideous amounts of overkill. Maybe for going to Elu, but this will be fine for Dress and for Jewel. I think we're just overall going to be completely fine. So the reason we're not replacing the Gigantors is, at Jewel at least, they still do about 1 energy flow per second. So each Gigantor will still do better than the RTG. However, the RTG will operate even when you're occluded, and the further away we go, the more efficient the RTG will be. The RTG produces a small trickle of power permanently. So we will always have some power for this thing. Not maybe a ton, but we'll always have some. I'm going to go ahead and put a cut in here, and next episode, we'll put this guy into a polar orbit. See you all then.